everyone, and welcome to the redo of, the Neo series. And yes, I finally decided to redo that piece of trash. So, I'm just gonna say it here. I'm sorry for how that thing ended. I really just wanted to be done with it originally, but now that, I've gone back and rewatched the whole thing on one of my other accounts, because, by God, was that thing hideous. But yeah. I'm hoping that will still be dark, like the original. As, let's be honest here, anybody who has, watched World of Remnant or managed to, read any of the stories of Neo, her backstory is a very sad one. So I'm hoping to still keep that type of sad and, that very dark vibe to her. But I would like to congratulate someone who managed to, make a OC absolutely perfect for this series. So, you know who you are. I have already given you congratulations personally, directly to you. And the OC that which was picked, you guys will be able to find it in the end of the video, or right now. As it will be in the, description. And all you guys have to do is click on the description, join my Discord, and, head over to OCs, and you will find Crystal Salvatore. The OC that which I am currently using for this What If. I am not sure if I am butchering the last name. I'm pretty sure it's a German name, but I could be wrong, and it could be a Austrian name. Considering that the Austrian language and the German language are not too different in pronunciations. But yeah. On that note, though, hopefully you guys will enjoy this What If, since you clicked on it. I'm assuming you enjoyed the last one. But yeah. On that note, let's get started. As we do not start like I normally do, as we actually start with, a woman wearing, some dark clothes. As this woman is wearing, a black corset, along with, black dress pants, with a, nice cobalt belt, with her also wearing, a nice long, coat. As she's also wearing boots, heavy boots. As we can see her simply, looking at her hand as she's tossing, a wad of money up and down, as she recently successfully pulled off a robbery. As this person is, a small-time crook, thug, and, thief. As her name is Crystal Salvatore. A woman in her, early 20s. Who escaped to Japan after, a botched job in her, home country, Germany. as we notice that, well, the woman stops for a moment as she looks up to see, well, three clearly inebriated men going into an alley, with one basically saying out loud that there's a small girl in this alley that they might be able to have some fun, if they're lucky. As Crystal is many things. Many things indeed. But one thing that she has, well, taken pride in her line of work is that she has never harmed, well, children, as she cannot say that the women and elderly were so lucky. After all, money's money, but she has never, well, done anything to, well, a child, and she never will. As she decides to, well, follow the men to see exactly what their plan is. As we go from, well, Crystal Salvatore's POV to, well, Izumi's point of view. As we can see, well, a small girl with two-tone hair, with, well, cat ears on top of her head. As the ears, well, twitch as her eyes shoot open, as she can hear, well, the sounds of, well, drunks heading into her alley. As she remembers how many times she has had to leave, well, her homes before. After all, being an orphan and homeless is not, well, easy at all. As she has had to, well, move multiple times due to reasons. Constructions, gang activities, and, well, her least favorite, drunken morons. As she would, well, get up and, well, slightly peek her head around, well, the dumpster that she was laying behind. As she can somewhat see them, due to one of them having, well, a lit cigarette and, well, a lighter that's still on. As she, well, frowns as she recognizes, well, this particular group, that they have walked past her alley multiple times, with the man with the cigarette always looking in and, well, staring at her when they do. As Izumi's, well, fight or flight response is going, well, wild. As Izumi decides to, well, run, as she starts, well, sprinting down, well, the alley, as all she hears is, well, someone say, stop, as she would stop running, as she would be downright terrified, as she completely forgot the first lesson that, well, one of the people who actually treated her nicely taught her. Always analyze, well, your opponent before you run or decide to fight, as you never know what their quirk might be. As she's simply told to turn around, that which her body does. As Izumi's trying to, well, fight it, as she's, well, screaming at them now, saying, "What the fuck do you bastards want? Why couldn't you just leave me alone?" With the head one, now has a cigarette in between his fingers, simply grunts, saying, "Geez, the fucking mouth on this one, eh, boys? I'm sure we can work that out of her, though. So, though, looks like she'll be quite a catch in the near future. Could be worth something, at least." As she decides to, well, use the only card in her arsenal, as she threatens them, saying that she'll scream and call for help. As all the men would, well, laugh at that. With the one man pulling, well, a pocket knife out of his pocket, flipping it open. As the knife's a good, well, inches in length. As the head man with the knife, who has, well, the cigarette still in between his fingers, as he, well, takes a drag out of it and blows, well, the smoke through his nose, as he simply says, "That wouldn't be a wise idea, kid." After all, I prefer not to break my toys very early on. As the girl knows very well the tone of voice that the man is using, and, well, Izumi wants none of it. As she, well, screams at the top of her lungs, yelling for help. As the man simply grunts, as the cocky smile he had is, well, now disappearing into a face of annoyance, as Izumi keeps on screaming and calling for help, as she stops, as she's now taking some breaths in, as the man with the knife is not amused at all, as he decides to make a threat of his own, one that he will very much keep, as we hear him basically say, "If you open your mouth one more fucking time, kid, to call for help, I'll make sure you're never going to be talking again, you fucking brat." As Izumi decides to, well, call the man's bluff, only halfway through her scream for help, to feel, well, a very sharp pain across her throat. As she would fall to the ground, stunned, as she would, feel where the pain is, only for her hand to come shaking back with, her seeing blood, as she realizes who blood it is, her own. As she can hear, the two other men losing it on their friend, with their friend coming up with a, answer to give them, as all she hears is, the sound of, she can't exactly tell what sound it is, but something is hitting the ground, making little tinging noises, as the air is also really cold now. As she can barely hear, the screams of the other two men, as she cannot hear, the third one. As her eyes slowly begin to darken due to, loss of blood, as she tries to, reach out and call for, help from whoever is, here saving her, as all she's letting out is, gurgles, as the last thing that Izumi sees is, her hand being caught by a much paler one. One that almost looks as white as snow, as she can feel how cold it is. As she can feel, where her cut is finally stop bleeding, but also feel, frozen. But not painfully so, as her eyes would finally close, as she would barely be able to see, a lock of hair come down in, her sight. As once Izumi's eyes close and she falls unconscious, we will go back a little bit in time, but not too far back, as we switch back to, Crystal Salvatore's POV, as Crystal decided to go down the same alley, as when she finally, got close enough, she saw everything happen, along with, what the man was saying, as Crystal has always, prided herself on being cold and calculated with, everything she does. Similar to, her old mentor, as that patience and coldness that she is known for finally shatters. As it almost, in the back, it almost sounds like, glass has finally shattered behind her, as the air suddenly becomes much colder than it actually is, with the ground under her feet slowly starting to, freeze over. As the lights in the alley finally start to, break, due to, the sudden drop in temperature. As the men suddenly start to notice this, as Crystal does not allow them to even fight back. After all, what's standing in front of her is not men, but dogs. Dogs that have been off their leash for far too long and need to be put down. As a spear of ice would form by her head, as all she would do is, flick her finger outwards and, whistling, sending, the spear of ice right through, the man's chest that slit the girl's throat in front of her. As the man completely, turns solid. As he freezes, he doesn't even fall. He's literally frozen in place after, being stabbed through the chest with the icicle spear. As the other men, start to screaming that, the terror has arrived, and that they need to get the fuck out of there, as they start to try and run, only for, them to realize that their feet is, completely frozen. As the woman simply grabs, the knife and, have some fun, as Crystal starts, mutilating them, to put it lightly. As she does far worse to them than what they did to the girl. As not long after, both finally die as she freezes their corpses over, to, hopefully hide them for a little bit. As she, walks over as she sees the, girl reaching out a hand, assumingly asking her for help. As all she does is, quickly grab the hand before it can, fall to, the street beneath them. As Crystal sees, something that she thought she would never see again. The younger version of herself. As she shakes her head to, see the child. As she, decides there and then that she'll teach this child just like her mentor taught her. The arts of, survival, and not just to survive, but to thrive, in a world that just wants you dead. As she simply, freezes over the cut on the girl's neck, as she sees, well, the girl pass out, likely due to blood loss. As Crystal simply pulls out her phone and calls, well, a number, as we can hear, well, an irritated voice over the phone, saying, "What do you want?" With Crystal saying in, well, a very cold but neutral tone, "Hello, Simmons. I hope you'll be ready to practice medicine when I come. I have a patient. And don't worry, you'll be paid handsomely for your work." With the man that we now know as Simmons on the other line simply grunting and telling, well, Crystal on her end of the phone that if you keep on bringing straight my way, we're gonna have problems. Got it, Crystal? I don't care if you're called the Terror. As Crystal wouldn't care much about the man's threats, as she knows that Simmons has never liked being, well, called ever. He doesn't like the fact that he could be tracked. As she simply hangs up and picks up the girl and starts walking towards, well, Simmons' workplace. As not too much later, we see, well, Crystal by a door, as she knocks on it, as two red piercing eyes open up a slot, as the eyes narrow, as we just hear, well, the man that we heard over the phone simply say Crystal's name. Crystal. As he sees, well, the kid, as his eyes soften a bit, as he simply says in a softer tone, "Fine, I'll make an exception this once, Crystal, but never, ever call me over the phone again. Do I make myself clear?" As Crystal nods at that, as he would slide, well, the view hole close again, as we can hear multiple sounds of, well, locks being disengaged, with the door being, well, opened up. As we see, well, a man with lightish blue hair, almost a aqua color, with his, well, red eyes. Most would, well, probably assume that he's mad. But Crystal knows better. That he's one of the best street surgeons around this area. Plus, his prices are fair, even for children. as he would wave them in, with Crystal not needing, well, a second wave for her to, well, come in with, well, the girl that she has. As not much longer, once they got inside, Crystal put the girl on, well, a table, with the man wearing, well, old surgical mask. As we can hear, well, the snapping of rubber gloves. As he simply looks at, well, the girl, and then to Crystal, as he says to Crystal, "Please remove your ice from the girl's throat. I won't be able to do my job properly if you don't." As Crystal would, well, do what Simmons asked her, as he told her one last thing. "And now, please get the hell out of my workspace. You're contaminating the area with your filth, woman." As Crystal would simply glare at, well, Simmons, as she mumbles to herself, "If you weren't so damn good at your job, I would have frozen you solid years ago." As the man would just grunt, hearing what, well, Crystal said. As a few hours later, we can see Simmons coming from, well, behind the curtains. As he lowers his surgical mask, as he simply says, "She's fine. She'll live, but she'll probably never speak again. Your quirk, along with that serrated blade, did quite a number on, well, the girl's vocal cords." I have, well, apartment that, well, someone didn't pay for. They were quite useful, keeping the girl alive, by the way. But I'll be transferring the girl up there. You can go up there with her. As Crystal would, well, just nod at that, with him saying, "Also, I expect you to, well, bring me life bags for her every once in a while, as I have no idea when the girl will wake up." As the girl remembers, well, a place where the homeless frequents a lot, as she thinks to herself that nobody's going to care if a few homeless people go missing. After all, they're bums. Most of them are old and don't have, well, much to, well, achieve, except for being drunks and, well, idiots that gamble every cent that they have away. As Crystal simply says, "That won't be a problem, Simmons. I know a few spots I can grab people from." With Simmons getting a bit of an evil glint in his eyes, saying, "Well, you do usually bring me some good quality stuff. Even if it is homeless people. Just try and make sure you grab the ones that look the least damaged." As Crystal would walk off to go do that. As it would do a small time skip of, well, 2 weeks. As we cut to, well, Izumi's bed. As she finally wakes up. As she didn't expect to actually wake up. She thought that was the end. That was it. That she died. As tears would start coming to the girl's eyes. As she starts thinking of how happy she is that she's not dead. That her life can still continue. As, well, she's, well, reveling in the fact that she's still alive, she feels something is wrong inside of her. Like something is there that is now lost forever. As she goes to, well, speak. As all that is let out is, well, a small thing of, well, air, in a way. As her eyes slowly begin to widen. As she calms down a little, thinking that it's just a parched throat. As she's had these over the winters before. When she used to live with, well, the other homeless people. As she would wait for some, well, of her saliva to pull in her mouth as she would swallow and try to, well, talk again, with her throat being a lot more moist now. As still, nothing would come out. As she would, well, slowly move a hand weakly as she would rub, well, her throat, as she would feel, well, the beginnings of, well, a scar there. As the tears that were, well, having problems coming out are now coming out in, well, for full bursts, as she is just silently sobbing now. As she would, well, cry herself to sleep once again, without noticing that, well, someone was in the room with her. as when she falls asleep, we will switch back to Crystal, as Crystal just watched the girl basically go through a breakdown, as something that Crystal hasn't felt something in a long time resurface, as she realizes that she's feeling regret towards the child's state, as she quells the emotion of regret, saying that I can have time to pity myself later. Right now, I need to take care of this child. After all, somebody was kind enough to take care of me so many years ago. So, time to repay the favor to this kid. As she gets up to, go and make a order with, a certain group. As all she can think to herself is her new partner is going to need a weapon. As she's already looked at, the person's build. As she has, finally decided on, a weapon for the girl. A cane sword. As she realized that it could act as, a bludgeon along with, a blade. As Crystal leaves the apartment complex that which is owned by Simmons to go get, said weapon. As this is where I'm ending it, everyone. If you guys think I went a little bit too dark with this, then I guess I went a little bit too dark with it. But if you guys enjoyed it, then, I'm happy that you guys did. Also, if you guys are, new to, the channel, please comment down below on your thoughts, as we always do enjoy, hearing them, along with, other stuff. So, yeah. Other than that, I think the series is, just beginning anew again. So, hopefully, those of you who enjoyed the original will enjoy this one, as it's a similar premise, but I did change everything up just a wee bit. So, yeah. Well, when I mean we, I mean I redid everything. But yeah. As, usual, There will be a link to our Discord server in the, description. If you're new, you guys should totally join, as there will always be a alert system. As long as you don't have your Discord muted, you will always be notified when we release a video. You guys will also have the chance of making your own OCs that can, end up in the story. Just like, the person who made Crystal. Also, if you, want me to shout you out in the next video for your creation of Crystal, or if you just want to take credit in the comment sections, you can do that. But, as always, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to comment, as we're always eager to read them and hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. And also don't forget to, subscribe as well, as we're hoping to, make it to 2K by the end of the year. But, yeah. On that note, though, see you guys later, and ciao.